Well, hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers who are watching the Cricket Next YouTube channel. My name is Kanav Bali and we are here to talk about India versus Australia, the Border-Gavaskar Trophy. First game being played in the city of Perth. What an high-octane game is going on. We all saw what happened yesterday, although I think everybody got occupied with the IPL auctions. Even we couldn't talk much about what India did yesterday, what Virat Kohli did yesterday. Finally, the 81st international century and the 38th test century coming in. We'll discuss that also. There's a lot of stuff that's pending that we need to talk about, and I have with me Jamie Alter and Harshit Best, and we are going to talk about. We're going to derail from the IPL auctions for a bit because that is the talk of the town. But uske saath saath there's a test match also going on. Jamie, thank you so much for connecting with us. I'll start with day three, then we'll come to day four. Day three, Virat Kohli. Finally a century coming in. Your thoughts? How was the innings? And do you think now this is just a beginning, and he will continue to score one or two more in this series at least?
Definitely, he should score runs because the confidence has come back, right? Platform to tha Virat Kohli ke paas, but wickets had fallen after lunch. I think he came around the new ball time. Josh Hazelwood was doing things, so he had to. It wasn't easy, and for a guy who's been through so much, for him to come back to Australia, to Perth, where the last time he played, he got a fantastic 123 in a lost cause. It just says a lot about what he's actually capable of doing. Many of us have probably forgotten that because it has been so long. I think 19 innings,
Yeah.
350s, 10 scores, under 20 and 6 under 10. So there was enough problems in his game as we've been discussing, but it's Australia. Many people said कि नहीं Australia जाकर he'll find his inner mongrel, like the Aussies say, and very good. Score तो बहुत था जब विराट कोहली क्रीज पे आए, but very important that they kept Australia in the field for another section, just grind them into the dust. I was kind of surprised that they actually declared as soon as he got to the 100. I would have thought यार मोहम्मद सिराज तक बैटिंग करने दो, इनको पूरी तरीके से इनको like just इनकी बेइज्जती करा लो, right? Runs तो है ही, they were never going to get even more than 315 to my mind. You were already 450 plus. I would have just embarrassed them. I would have just mortified them, ground them into the dust. But then again, उसी पिच पर जहां पे पूरी दिन इंडिया ने बैटिंग करी, 3 wickets in 4 overs, जसप्रीत बुमराह आज भी विकेट्स गिर रहे हैं. मैं कह रहा हूं ट्रेविस हेड को 150 मारने दो, क्या फर्क पड़ेगा? Australia will lose on day 4 and they've been, I don't want to say humble, I think they've been embarrassed, haven't they?
Yep, absolutely. Australia being treated like this in their own den, this is something that world cricket is talking about, and India has done that before, two back-to-back series, and they have started this series in the same manner. But Jamie, what do you think? What did Virat change? The more visible thing was that he was going to his back foot more. There was a more of a back foot trigger now. First innings, we all saw that he was trying to play on the front foot. The ball took an extra bounce, edge carried to the slips. इस innings में विराट ने technically ऐसा क्या correct किया है कि he was able to score what he scored?
ज्यादा कुछ टेक्निकल तो नहीं किया. These were much easier batting conditions, and I think the fact that rarely has Virat Kohli walked out to the crease in the last 2 years with India, 300 on the board, 350 on the board. So he just had to do what Jaiswal did, जो KL Rahul ने किया, जो कुछ समय तक देवदत्त पाडिक्कल ने किया. Just bat sensibly. He didn't take that extra guard. He was beaten several times. Nathan Lyon was getting the ball to turn. The cracks started to show up, but I think he just called on his 15 years of experience. जैसे कि हमने पहले भी डिस्कस किया था, हो सके कि इंडिया के स्पिनिंग ट्रैक्स और रैंक टर्नर से बाहर निकलकर अच्छे बैटिंग ट्रैक्स, and let's face it, day 1 को छोड़ के this has been a very good batting track. Days 2 and 3 were very good for batting. No alarming. Yes, there were some odd balls turning, but for the bulk of 2 days, India had the best conditions to bat. So he didn't have to do much. I think he was very comfortable. He was very confident. Or us beach, he likes a challenge, right? And the fact that from 275, 274 for 1, then a few wickets fell. So maybe that also flicked something inside him. Chalo, match apne haath mein hai, run to bahut hai, but fir bhi, Jurel didn't do anything. Rishabh Pant had a rare failure. Maybe I should be the one to lead it. Plus, also team environment. I think team environment makes a big difference on these big players, because yes, they've achieved so much, but they like to be in a good zone. और बहुत दिन के बाद overseas test में India were in a very good position. So I think that just made it very easy for Virat Kohli to go and get his, what is it, 30th? I think 30th
30th,
test.
30th tester. Absolutely, he has reached the 30th mark. A little too late, I'll say, because the likes of Joe Roots and everybody they have went past him like anything, Kane Williamson. But better late than never, as they say. Harshad, I'd like to bring you in here. Your thoughts on Virat Kohli and his brilliant innings yesterday?
I mean, yeah, obviously it was very important for Virat Kohli to score big runs, and he got an opportunity to score big runs yesterday, and he perfectly cashed up it. And it's good that he scored a big runs in the first Test match because it's a long series, and Virat Kohli performs in this series, India's chances of winning will go very high. And look, he yes looked very comfortable during his stay at the crease yesterday. He played his shots, he was playing sweeps, reverse sweeps, and he was enjoying his batting yesterday. He did not play any rash shot or something like that. Even when he came to the crease, we were not very confident about that. How much we are not sure that how Virat was going to perform. He struggled a bit to open his account, but once he got into his zone, he played shots like anything. He was, I saw him hitting a couple of sixes as well. So it was a good sight to see Virat Kohli getting 100, and his hundred, his century. When he came out to the crease, India was already in a very comfortable position. So he had no pressure to that he has to get the score protected. It was just that he had to enjoy his game, and he did that exactly that. And when Virat Kohli is scoring runs, it's a big good news for India and a big trouble for the Aussies. And it happened the same way yesterday. I mean, it's a good sign. It's a good sign for everybody, for the Indian cricket team, for the Indian cricket fans, for the Australian fans even. I mean, they love Virat. They love to see Virat Kohli bat. So it's a good sign. And also, it was a seventh Test century in Australia, which is the most by an Indian batter in Australian pitches. So a great achievement for him. And we hope, we expect, I expect, I mean, all of us expect that Virat Kohli continues his record form and score as many runs as possible in the upcoming four matches as well.
Yep, absolutely. That's what the fans are hoping as well. Well, Jimmy, you were talking about the team environment, and there have been a lot of discussion that the team environment or how the team looks like in Perth is slightly different to how they usually look like. People say the combo of Bumrah and Kohli, Bumrah being a young but an aggressive captain, and Kohli bringing out his former captain out on the field because he knows that Bumrah is a young captain. He would need some help from me. तो एक बहुत वो equation चलती है कि with Rohit, Virat is not like this. With Rohit, Virat obviously curbs his inner captain, doesn't let it come out. He doesn't set fields because obviously Rohit Sharma is there. So do you think that switch, as we talked about switches, Virat Kohli switching something on, the fact that he had to bring out a former captain in him out on the field, manage the field, talk to the bowlers, help Jasprit Bumrah, that also somewhat translated into his batting and helped him take up more responsibility as a batter?
It's possible. I hadn't thought too much about that. Yes, you saw him, like the reviews and the appeals. That was a Virat Kohli of old. I don't know whether Rohit Sharma has been there now for the last day and a half with them, so his presence is very much there. I don't know. I just think it's more about just the team being in a very very good situation. Agar India दोबारा collapse करती, I don't think you would have seen that. See, Virat Kohli's aggression often comes from when the team is doing well, right? बहुत बहुत series तक जब उनका खुद form खराब था, तो he was kind of subdued. I think it comes from just the team being in a good situation, also being back in Australia. I mean, Harshit just mentioned 7 test hundreds. Chalo, usse pehle he had 6 when he started to get more aggressive. But just being back in a country where he knows he's appreciated, where he knows the fans like him, the contest, this being Australia, probably that had more to do with than the absence of Rohit Sharma, or maybe the need to sort of guide Jasprit Bumrah. I mean, अगर एक player है जो अभी फिलहाल इस पूरे टीम में सबसे टॉप पे है, जिसको सबसे ज्यादा रिस्पेक्ट मिलता है, I think it would be Jasprit Bumrah. It's rare that a bowler is actually. I think चलो विराट कोहली ने कल 100 मारा, but बहुत समय तक people had lost faith in him. People had lost faith in many, many players. But Jasprit Bumrah, no one seems to lose faith in him. So I don't think it was a case of him having to do too much for him. But jo bhi hai, it gave us all a lot of happy moments to see Virat Kohli and pretty good innings. मतलब ज़्यादा कुछ no real chances. हाँ कुछ edge थे, one fell short. But as far as the situation goes, as far as the context of the match goes, this was a very very good 100 from Virat Kohli after a long time also.
Yeah, absolutely, and I loved how he switched gears towards the end. He didn't think of his 100 per se. Obviously, the team was waiting for him to cross the 100-run mark, but he was ready to play reverse sweeps. He was ready to hit sixes down the ground and accelerate his innings to reach 100 quickly. And then he knew, as a captain, as a former captain, he knew how important those last few overs are. और वो 3 wickets में convert हुआ, तो I think that was a good phase of cricket that we saw. But Harshit, now talking about the Australian batting, okay, there's one thing that the pitch is, the cracks are widening and it's getting tougher to bat on slightly. Obviously, Travis Head is looking good on the pitch right now, but Steve Smith, Marnus Labuschagne. Let's start with Marnus Labuschagne. What's going wrong for him? I mean, what when he started his Test career, he was touted to be one of the best Test batters that Australia can ever produce. But slowly, that graph is going down. Going down. Your thoughts on Marnus Labuschagne and his dismissal and his form?
I mean, it's not just the case with Marnus Labuschagne. A majority of Australian players are not consistent in Test cricket as of now. These days, if you see the last series that they played against New Zealand, the before that, the two series that they played against in Pakistan and in West Indies also. In that also, they were not able to score big runs. So that has been a problem for them as for a while. I mean, like the likes of Steve Smith, the likes of Manus Labuschagne, the likes of Usman Khwaja. I mean, Usman Khwaja was in red form in Ashes last year, but since then he has not scored many runs. So that's a problem for Australia. And I was not surprised by India's decision to retire, declare the innings and give something to Australia to bat on, just come and out and bat for 5 overs, and and it paid off, right? We got managed to get 3 wickets, and from the moment that India got 3 wickets, Australia, the game was over for Australia. I mean, in the morning session, they lost Usman Khwaja in just what, on 7 balls. He was on the 7th ball he got out, and now Smith is gone. So it is just that Australia is on the verge of losing a match by a big margin. I mean, India has not won a Test match overseas by a margin of more than 320 runs, and as of now the lead is 430. So India is on the cusp of creating history by recording its biggest overseas win, and it's just a matter of time that India will seal the deal. I mean, I am not seeing Australia going to chase down another 430 runs in the match. I mean, it's just a matter of that the game will get over by in the second session or the third session, but it is bound to. And Australia's batting is also not that deep. Travis Head is playing along with Mitchell Marsh, and then we have Alex Carey only. I mean, it's just about the match is going to by what time we can expect the match to get over. So it's a problem for Aussies as well. The bowlers are good, but like they performed in the first innings, but as of now, like the way we are previewing the series, we're saying that India Australia series is evenly balanced because the form of the Australian batters is also not that great. The form of Australian bowlers is also not that great. It is just that the home conditions will play a bit in favor, but it's not that the gulf is too big. It's a 50-50 series. Anybody can win, and India has proved with its performance in the first test that if the batters click, India has the game, India has the side that can go and can complete the hat trick of series win. So it's a happy sign for him. And as for an Indian cricket fan, I don't want any of the Australian batters to find this form in the next 5 matches as well. So that is how it is.
Yep, absolutely. And see, Australian batters, we have talked about Jamie in detail before the match even began. In the preview that we did, we talked about how Australian batting lineup is fragile right now. They are not in form. But then there's this one man, Steve Smith. How important is Australia's chances of victory, or Australian team's form uh, कनेक्टेड विद स्टीव स्मिथ? आई मीन स्टीव स्मिथ का जो फॉर्म है वो ऑस्ट्रेलिया के लक से, ऑस्ट्रेलिया की परफॉर्मेंस से कितना कनेक्टेड रहता है? बिकॉज वी हैव सीन इन द पास्ट how Steve Smith has gone on to score centuries. Australia has won the matches series back to back, but whenever Steve Smith goes down, the Australian team's chances of winning also goes down. So how important is his form for the team?
No, it's massive because when he was doing things, he was doing remarkable things. He came back from a ban and got 200s in one test match. That
Yeah.
was a gripping Ashes series. So because I mean, the guy was compared to Don Bradman in terms of average. He's now in that same situation where he'll probably get to 10,000 runs before Virat Kohli will. But the Fab Four have all had their problems, and the man who's had the most problems is Virat Kohli. But Steve Smith's problems are not too dissimilar. It's been a long time since he got runs. बीच में हमने discuss किया था बेकार में इस बंदे को opening कराया, didn't really help him. I think role clarity also was a big factor. जब ये
Yeah.
team Australian team India आई थी, तो he didn't do much there. So he's also going through a tough time. But the bigger problem is that they're returning to Test cricket after what, 8 months, right?
Yeah,
और
yeah,
हमारी टीम से भी चलो 3-0 हारे न्यूजीलैंड से, but they played 5 test matches in a very short
yeah,
span of time. So the
yeah,
ability to come back from adversity is easier when you've been playing test cricket. These guys have just been, yeah, when was their last test series? I think Feb or something, no? Feb or
yeah,
March or something. That's a long time. A Feb March में हमारी टीम 5 test match की series खेल रही थी, right? They
yeah,
they played West Indies. I think they lost 1-1. Then they went to New Zealand. I think they won 2-0 in New Zealand, but if I'm not mistaken, that was back in the months of like Feb or March, right?
mm,
So
yeah,
it's a long time to go without playing Test cricket. Usman Khwaja is 30, what, 38? Not getting any younger. You can score what you want to score in Sheffield Shield, but if you, Test cricket is a different kettle of fish. Labuschagne का form भी ऊपर नीचे रह चुका है. McSweeney debut पे है. Travis Head, I mean, we forget. Okay, he's been doing fantastic things in white ball cricket, but against the New Zealand and West Indies, I think he also went through a bit of a up and down phase. Mitchell Marsh bhi, बहुत time के बाद आ रहे हैं. So it's not easy for teams like Australia, despite being the
mm,
host team, to come back on a tough pitch and suddenly adjust to Test cricket, right? That too
yeah,
against Jasprit Bumrah. मतलब how good is Bumrah been? I mean, जहां पे पिच में कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, वो आके बॉल को जैग करता है, सीम निकालता है. So it's, yes, very obvious aging batting problems in this team. But I think
yeah,
more than that, it's just the absence of Test cricket. और हमें कितना बार मौका मिला है ये बोलने के लिए कि Indian team has actually played more cricket and is more suited to playing in Australia than an
yeah,
Australian team. So yeah, I just think they were not expecting this. They thought the pitch was going to be something different. Pitch was very,
yeah,
very strange. India got the best of batting conditions, and
yeah,
like I said, it's just a matter of time. इस सेशन में या आखिरी सेशन में कल तक तो मैच जाएगा नहीं, because इसके बाद
mhm.
Alex Carey है, and I don't think we'll see a rear guard from Lyon and Stark and Hazler like we saw on day two.
Yeah, absolutely. But as you said earlier in the live, Jimmy, that let Travis Head score 150, it won't matter because Australia is not chasing this. But allowing someone like Travis Head to score 100 or 150, wouldn't it be risky because it will give him a lot of confidence going into a series? Cricket is all about momentum. Steven Smith, had he scored 100 here, he would have been, in great touch. He would have got that confidence back. So, how important is it to make sure that the batters also don't complete their personal milestones so that the confidence remains low for the rest of the series as well?
Yeah, I mean, of course, you don't want someone changing around their whole fortune and then having an adverse effect on India. But
Yeah,
right now, I just think what basically what I'm saying is what India has gained from this match and
yeah,
what Australia has lost, उसमें बहुत बहुत फर्क है, right? None of us, we were writing this off. This team is useless. There's no this Gambhir. All said and done, I mean, they're on the verge of achieving, like Harshit mentioned, their biggest overseas test win. किसने सोचा? अब Adelaide जाओ. I already said कि I think I fancied India's chances in Adelaide more than Perth. अब देख लो, Perth में तो स्क्रिप्ट ही उन्होंने चेंज कर दिया.
yeah,
एडलेड, पिंक बॉल, जैगिंग बॉल, सीमिंग बॉल, मोहम्मद सिराज, जसप्रीत बुमराह, स्टार्क वार्क तो ये लोग कहीं से खेलेंगे. सो let Travis Head get some runs. The guys who counter punch, I think they should be rewarded. But मुझे लगता नहीं है कि Australia's batting problems are actually, and this sounds very strange to say, it actually worse than India's batting problem. रोहित आ जाएंगे वापस, गिल आ जाएंगे वापस, पर्टिकल बाहर जाएंगे, ध्रुव जुरेल बाहर जाएंगे. दिक्कत तो है नहीं, दिक्कत पूरा इस टीम पे है. And I think somebody asked a question also in the preview show, and I said India's, it's Australia are also under some pressure. Can
yeah,
you imagine
yeah,
to Adelaide after losing by like maybe 430 runs? तो एक बंदा ने अगर 100 मारा, 150 मारा, it's not going to change around their fortunes, because the problem with their batting, and I have full faith in India's bowling, तो मारने दो. उनके फैंस भी कुछ बीर पे के ताली मारेंगे. India have dominated even on day one. Yes, India made
yeah,
150, but they were 67. So India have actually had a better of every single day in this test match, which, let's
yeah.
face it, none of us thought was possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even I was thinking that maybe the first test is not for them. Maybe Adelaide or Melbourne is somewhere India will be more comfortable to win in. But the way they have been playing in the Perth test right now, and I think if Mohammed Shami comes back for the pink ball test, Australian batting lineup will see a living nightmare. But Harshit, we talked about the pitch. Is this pitch tough to bat on, or is the pitch still okay and it's just the Australian batting form and the Australian batting lineup that is going wrong? क्योंकि पिच को लेके भी अब वो डिस्कशन हो रही है, क्रैक्स वाइडन हो गए हैं, एक दो बॉल हमने विराट की बैटिंग में भी देखा, इट केप्ट लो, एवरीबॉडी वाज लाफिंग इंक्लूडिंग कोहली, लायन स्मिथ वाज स्केयर्ड, ही वाज स्टैंडिंग एट द स्लिप्स एंड व्हेन ही सॉ द बॉल बाउंस इतना, he was scared. Your thoughts on the pitch? Is it tough to bat on, or is it just the Australian batting lineup?
I mean, the pitch will get tough to bat on as the game goes on, but I mean, it's not really that difficult. You cannot bat on if you have that. If you apply yourself, if you respect the conditions, if you accept, if you stand there for a while, you can score runs. But Australia is not supposed to do that because they cannot win the match, even though there are more than 150 overs left in the game, and the target is 430 runs to more to chase down. So it's, I mean, there is a result has to come out of this game, and Australia cannot, they just cannot say, let's bat for 250 overs. It is not possible. You cannot do that. Also, they have just 5 wickets left. Of those five, three are tail enders. So irrespective of whatever one says about the pitch, how it is, whatever it is, I mean they can only delay the inevitable, but they are gonna lose this match. It is just that they want to keep the margin as low as possible because if they lose the first test by somewhat like say 400 runs, it will be a big setback for them. They'll be under pressure throughout the series because there's a lot of chatter about the India Australia series in India, in Australia. People are talking about it. And a defeat by a margin of 400 runs in the first test when India was missing the two key players. I mean, the captain was not playing, the number three batter was not playing. And for Australia to, see, Shubman Gill has scored 4 centuries in 2024. He's the most informed batter in India at the Indian team. He was not playing. He will be back in the next game. Rohit will be back. I mean, what Rohit has done with his captaincy in the other formats of the game will obviously give nightmares to the Australian players. The batters are not doing well. The bowlers, they look clueless in the second innings. So there are a lot for Australia, and they have to step up. They have to up their game if they want to avoid the embarrassment of losing three test series against India at home. I mean, that's going to be a big setback. And also, if they lose this test series, they are not going to play in the World Test Championship final. And also, there will be question marks on a lot of players because, like Jamie mentioned, Usman Khwaja is 37, Smith is in 34. Then you have the pace bowling attack who's over 30 now. So you're not going to see these players. Maybe we are talking about that Virat and Rohit for India in the next World Test Championship cycle. But all these 7, 8 players, the Australian big players, I mean, I'll not be surprised if they're not playing the next World Test Championship cycle as well. So problems are exactly the same for Australia as well. They have to quickly find a solution. I mean, they're not going to win this match, but for the next matches, they have to see what they can improve and how quickly they can improve. That's going to be crucial for them.
Absolutely, and I don't see any replacements for all these 7, 8 players either. They have somehow brought a McSweeney for a David Warner, and even he's all over the place. Obviously, he's a young lad; it will take time for him to settle down. But that is something we can talk about in future. We have a few comments here. Sports fan is saying Siraj in Australia is a different gravy altogether. Good to see him performing back again. Jamie, we talked about Siraj. We both were not impressed with Siraj before the series. He has done well so far. He has, hit the right line and length. He is looking dangerous. Or Australia, mein he has often done well. We all remember the previous BGT in Australia 4 years back. Your thoughts on Mohammed Siraj and his performance so far?
No, very, very good because he played the majority of India's 10 home tests and barring one spell, he didn't do anything of note. So when you go 8, 9, 10 test matches without looking good, you open yourself up to criticism. And yes, we assume that Australia Jakar,
Yeah.
he would be better, but more than using the pitch, he's actually gone back to the Mohammad Siraj style. For the last, like I said, those 9, 10 test matches, every three balls he was spearing down the leg side. Now he's not doing that. So he's found the control. And then when you're able to hit that lovely, look at the dismissal of Steve Smith, this morning. Lovely,
Yeah.
perfect length. Chalo, Usman Khwaja, that's a well-directed bouncer, but Usman Khwaja at 38, I don't think he should be in any position pulling the ball. But the Siraj dismissal to Steven Smith, if you can get 4 or 5 such wickets in the remainder of this series, Mohammad Siraj will have left Australian shores with his shoulders very, 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 very broad. Yeah, so good for him to come back after a pretty miserable last year.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. He was out of sorts throughout the year with the red ball in hand. But finally, I think Australia does that to Indian players. There are certain players who love to travel to Australia and then do well. It's either it's Kohli or Siraj. But we have one more question. it's rather more of a observation why Smith and Head were allowed easy singles. Itne runs pade hain. Harshit, your thoughts on this? Even I was noticing that there was a deep long on, there was a deep long off, maybe a deep point somewhere. When you have 500 runs on the board, wouldn't you rather have the players inside the circle ask the batters, okay, you want to chase down 400, you have the you can we won't allow you to take singles. You can hit the boundaries if you want. You can take the risk if you want. Or is it a good strategy to have fielders in the deep with 500 on the board?
Yeah, India has the luxury, the target of 450, 34 runs is too big that India can afford doing such kind of things during the match, and they exactly did it. I mean, in any way, after they lost Usman Khwaja in the early in the day, Australia was 4 down for 17 runs. After that, it was the game over. So Indian players were just relaxing, just chilling out, fielding at the fielding near the boundary line. So just they allowed. I mean, they should not, because ultimately the bigger the margin will be, the bigger the confidence of the Indian players will go on. So that was something that we can discuss about. But I was not getting. I'm not getting too much into the field placement, something like that, because we had a leverage. We can afford to do that for a while, and we exactly did that. So that's okay. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a great series. Yeah, it's a great series. Border-Gavaskar Trophy any day. Something that people were waiting for a long time. And I think we have one more comment here. This time also India will win BGT, and this will be revenge for 19th November 2023. I think 19th November is etched in our memories. Every Australian victory will be a revenge for us for the next few years. But hopefully India goes on to win. Jamie, a match ending in this session. Your gut feeling?
Again, unless Travis Head does something and he bats until the last wicket falls, because like we discussed, Mitchell Marsh मुझे ज़्यादा confidence नहीं दे रहे हैं. Alex Carey, चलो Alex Carey कुछ कर सकते हैं, but once you get into the tail, you're 1 wicket away, 2 wickets away from getting into the tail. So I think, yeah, if Jasprit Bumrah can conjure up that one more brilliant spell of 2 wickets, I think it should be over in this session. और अगर ना भी गया तो क्या होगा? कल तक तो मैच जाएगा नहीं.
Absolutely. Harshit, your gut feeling? ये सेशन या थर्ड सेशन तक जाएगा मैच?
जितनी जल्दी अब जसप्रीत बुमराह या कोई भी बॉलर, इंडियन बॉलर ट्रेविस हेड को आउट कर देगा, मुझे लगता है ट्रेविस हेड के आउट होने के विद इन 5 ओवर्स ऑस्ट्रेलिया विल गेट ऑल आउट। आई मीन मुझे नहीं लगता बाकी टेल में उतना कॉन्फिडेंस भी है, उतनी एप्लीकेशन भी, उनके पास मोटिव भी नहीं है यार। अब क्या कर लोगे यार, अगर जितना ज्यादा बैटिंग करके आप जिता तो नहीं सकते, पॉसिबल नहीं है। 430 रन का भी
Yeah.
अगर टारगेट हो अब भी पॉसिबल नहीं है। अब तो 430 रन आपको और बनाना, सिर्फ 5 विकेट हैं। तो इट इज जस्ट दैट कि आपको खत्म करना है। ट्रेविस हेड थोड़ा सा एप्लीकेशन दिखा सकता है, थोड़े से रन बना सकता है, उसको थोड़ा सा कॉन्फिडेंस मिल जाएगा। बट अगर स्टार्क रन बना भी देता है या हेजलवुड रन बना भी देता है तो क्या कॉन्फिडेंस चाहिए? वो बॉलर्स है, उनको बॉलिंग करना है, उनको कॉन्फिडेंस वो है। तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि ट्रेविस आउट, मतलब अगर ट्रेविस हेड अगर फर्स्ट बॉल आउट होता है नेक्स्ट सेशन की, तो विद इन 5 ओवर्स ऑस्ट्रेलिया, मतलब आई एम नॉट सरप्राइज कि इंडिया चाहेगा कि यार जल्दी से जल्दी इस मैच को फिनिश करें, थोड़ा रिलैक्स
Yeah.
करें, सेलिब्रेट करें इस विक्ट्री को, बिकॉज इट्स इंडीड अ वेरी स्पेशल विक्ट्री फॉर द इंडियन टीम।
Yeah. Yeah, and victory here will give them a world of confidence going into the rest of the 4 matches. But the match is about to start, and we will also take your leave. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Harshit, for talking with us. Thank you so much to all our viewers, and especially those who have asked us questions. अपने कोई भी सवाल है, opinions है, comment section में जरूर लिखिए. What a wonderful test match this has been for Team India so far, and hopefully, as Jamie and Harshit said, the match is not going till tomorrow. It's going to be over by today, and we'll have to wait and see कैसे गिरती हैं बाकी की wickets and who take those wickets. Anyways, it will be a big victory for India. Nevertheless, thank you so much, as I said, gentlemen. Thank you so much to all of you. Do enjoy the match and do subscribe to the Cricket Next YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon and follow us across all our social media platforms.